Yeah, word to the whiz. It's getting better. Check it out, look. Yeah. Yo, this is just a word to the whiz. Word to the whiz. You know me, I'll be the first to forget, but I was just a kid when you did what you did. Word to the whiz, getting worse in the bed. Shame how they served them with worthless and whiz. And their wrong-minded pastors that pursed them their lips to kiss fake politicians. The paper will pick for the fake publication, unearthing the bid. The church is most in, really ain't what you get. Really ain't what you get. It really ain't about what you get in return for the work that you did. It's the person being purposeful, personal with the pics of the litters we weren't you asked in. The burdens to bear for the birds in the wind. It's a virgin who split with her first just to get her hip. Now to how her discernment consents when she's really considered by those who concern for her safety than those who just perp jerking dicks to her pictures in person. The serpent is slick and they serving the search for the cure for the tempt of the turning her over to work on her whipped until finally submit full surrender to him. Pimped and turned to get tricked into worse yet again than the first would attempt. More than hurts to admit. Now she working the strip, if not twerking a twig. Twerking a twig. And it's all for attention, long for affection. They offer her this instead, just a stick stick for stirring the shit. Keeps her slurping for sips of the person she picked, and the poison was poured by her closest of friends. Same who turns on her on the murderous men when she can't pay her debt for the front. Got her fit, but it cost her life. She wouldn't even get to live. In sin, spend eternities nightly while working for them who would end it. Her life with the burner to blitz and the curb getting kicked. Just descent to the bot, get by perk picking victim, but this time it was her, but concerned who it did. At the hands of the hurtful who hit her, in turn for the worst, took the turnkey to pick what was locked till they got through the man. And the hearse got a lift, in the dirt that would dig in the earth for the fit. What was left of her figure still firm till she slipped when she tripped her up. But the work that she did kept her stressed out, exhausted, concerning for them who would bury her before they would even turn 10. Such a proof was a bitch. But no, man, I'm glad that I did. She was friend with my sis, who was also a bitch. They all are, but Brett was the worst in the mix. My sister, man, a badass little chick, but Brett to the cake came to quirkiness quick. Introduced me to her, we were close ever since. On the first night we met, we determined to get at least acquainted enough. We would learn a little bit about the birds and the bees and the burning within, for the earth to emerge from the chrysalis, turn into more than we knew we could be. Till just then, when rebirth each would witness a work that we did. Came of age, watch her blossom from dirt just to sprig. When we sprung in the spring on the spur of the sprit, like a sprite, she was fiery, a squirt with a squish. In a skirt I would lift, high alert on her hip, which was swirly to swivel, a wormy to wiggle. I worked my way into where perky her tits and mouth perfectly fit. Personally picked by the worst of the men who would end her to bend over, wouldn't for them, wouldn't loose, just a wild and determined to spend her life under no thumb. Told her quick, get a grip, she would not bend a knee in submission, surrender never to them, not to her or to him. Anyway, wound up shot in a standoff with pigs. At first, said a double death suicide, then changed it, claiming was murder of her did by him who was blocking the exit where cops had been hid just outside the hotel room where final a minute was spent in the midst of the turbulent tense. Twist of fate turned her face at the worst of the wind. And the worst of it went just as fast as it came. In an instant, her life had been lit, not yet 30. Early to give such a grief to the few that concerned for her sent to the hospital. Learned she left her pretty quick, left her closest to tend to them, care for her kid. Just heard one of them with her pregnant, a teen just like her. When she first got the word she was with, enough reason to be so excited. She was, so she is now as well. Since she heard where the trip, I'm just thinking about how things begin and they end. Often both are surprising how came and then went. This is word to the weird, it's the verb in the spit, no rehearsing this shit. It's the first of intent to be firm when they flip. When they swerve on your switch, it can hurt when you hit. And the hearse get a lip, draw the curtains, kept here hitting them hard, lurking again in the furnace to fit with the vermin to squirming in the vent. And the sermon admits to the service of him who's a serpent within, earth the surface again. When he does, will you merging with him, merge with him, purging the pent up, determined to dig in the dirt roughly 6. Will you turn to him, Christ, with your lips pressed to kiss while new snotted gets slit? Or are you more like Pete who inverted got fixed? Thomas who doubt till with own eyes will witness, like I did the risen, conversing with him who turned boys into men and young girls into women. If only we don't make a waste of our kids. We were clothed when we were kids. Growing up we were swift to try earning our strips. Weren't concerned for their thoughts or their feelings a bit. Those who judged at a glance said we weren't decent kids. No, we weren't innocent. We were dirty little shit with the curses to You know me, be the first to forget, but I was just a kid when you did what you did. You know me, be the first to forget, but I was just a kid when you did what you did. So what of the worth and the work that we did? In return, what we get, we earn what we get. In the end, we all deserve what we get. It's just a little word to the web, but discernment can sense that the church is within. Are you searching for it or just jerking your dick like a purr to the chicks who get merciless men off with skirt that get lifted? The lurkers who kick to the curb get dismissed with they murder with them myths. Many messed up admit now concerning for them who still dirty or get with the wormy or wiggle of worldly and sin working angle on them sending curses to live. We return to this sender. Always remember and never forget the ones who wept suffer such sickening shit. It's an earthly pastime we treasure as men to say rites of passage that murdered so many, swept under rug cut, blood man, swept under man. The urgent many. So we're taking God straight to their dignity, learning to rope and no slip like when Judas Perth lived to come kiss him and to get rich off the snitch on the nervous some men. Wake up early to get just the word turned his in. If your next to kin, closest and best of their friend, but these are the one he was sent for to touch, and the willing amongst them will know what he meant when he said it is finished. So is it again? With the firmest to fix eyes on look, firmest to fix eyes on prizes to win us a trophy by trick, but the warrior bride brick. Imagine her getting fresh. Imagine her getting freed by the perfect and fixed. And concerning this is getting worse every day, all the time, ain't it? Men are tempted with boy, it's too much, but a lot of them licked up, get mocked, fluid and flick like switch hint at how they get quick, they get swiped when they switch. See the fire is not ball struck, striking, no strictly be strung up in bondage, tied to binding. The shit, got it real. They keep turning blind eyes to the worthy of them, even turn on their kids who weren't turning to them for anything more than merging with. Shit, merging with, look. Returning the favor for works of the wicked. World that we in, ain't no turf we can win. Unless the church is within, and the search for ascent makes it perfectly sensible. Strength, emotional. So I gotta say, straight, I'm gonna do this shit right here. That's it. And the first of attempts to set foot firmly to flee. Set it firmly to fit in the first of attempt to deter them who tempt all the stumbling block to the bird that becomes the firmest to flip and the furnace to fit. We get burnt to a crick, we burn them the bridge between us and the thin. Now we can't reach the other if word to repent. Got the qualm with our brother, our sister and kin. Best of friend, next to kin is no different. In a sin, we can't just burn some incense, expect it to cleanse. We have sinned, won't repent. We have sinned, won't repent, so we done it again. Done it more, done to dig in the earth that he said. Feed it firm as it get, we disturbing up shit in the mustache sticks. It's uncertain at this point along this curve, but we finally give in, finally submit to the man. I gotta shit. Who is it? Finally supposed to submit to the will of our Father for him who is innocent. For submit to the will of our Father for him who is in us, if sincerely smitten with this, what it is, who is it, who it is. Shit. If you dig, it's a verse of the spirit. And that's a verse of the spirit. Yeah, in other words, we can burst in the bed. Nothing too big, just a word to the word. Something a little different, lead to the bed. Have a church in a sense. So listen if you will to the sermon I spit. Vermin squirm in the pew when they sit on the spur and the spread. So the search for within, what was served to a man, what curses to live, curbing urges to yearn for our fix of what gives us enough at least. Lives us enough to at least get curbing urges. We yearn for our pick, that it gives us enough to at least to at least keep a current to them who won't verge of it to in turn get the gist. If we only will care enough to try work them in, or our schedule so fit that we can't turn from them long enough to in turn to him when to then turn on them. Turn them on, turn them in, turn them on, turn them in. They can drop out or in, either way, all around I'm committed, have been to the earth whom I said I was sent to deliver. If I am in him and if I am you can sense. I won't say that I'm much more equipped for submission, but you would go sent to the pit. Got shit. This is the biz that I'm in. The biz of the shit when you thick, it's immensely intense, it's intensely immense. When the phantom they hit, they get scattered to the wind with the bladders that splatter, brain matter amiss. Stank like patterns, they shatter and hit or miss. This it is when you giving them jizz, catch a drift all the while with a rift and a tip. Then the jiffy been settled, once leveled up, spent up and fit to get pit with this. Mental weakness, adrenaline's our strength when I'm mentioning this under pressure in a sense. It's a pinch, in a pinch, it's a cinch till I'm clenching my fist in attempt to resist it. When pissed, wanna check it, leave dents in your chin. I try instead, write a verse, flip, reverse it, the scripts, I revert to the fit. I'm the first to forget, but that was just a kid when you did what you did. You know me, I'll be the first to forget, but that was just a kid when you did what you did. If you hurt to get hit, and the courage it did, when the merge and for crystal is learning to live with discernment to sin, when the turn up and split down the path to where gives is most urgent to get. The jury hung right down the middle, merge split on the spur of the moment, so fervent to fit. In In the furnace we fit, I can't help if you feel me for real, it's legit, you're sincerely. Shit to whom I concern when it's sin. Sign sealed with the kip and the disc when the big. You return for the work that you did. It's the person being purposeful, purpose on them weird, but the person to pick up on where we went wrong in the search for a soul in the search. Man, get with. It's not what you get in return for the worth. And we get in return for the worth of the work that you did. It's the person being purposeful, personal with the person to pick up on where we went wrong in the search of our soul to the wreckage to sit with discernment to sin. When the worst of offense, leave the earth to repent for the sin we commit. When we turn from our sin, when the curb we get kicked. Before we burn to a crypt like we bring is the bread that we burn yet again, that we build it again. Make one final attempt to convert with a sense of concern for what's his. In the world that suspends, but long after we went, it has since we came with a purpose each sense. So it's yours, one like mine, to encourage the kid. Or is it discouraged from learning to live in the furnace we fit, and we're emerging from it, and let me turn it to him. It was the earth that we sent to return once again for the purpose of it. What we God planned, then curse it to live in the surface. It's grass to be service of him, and the surface just live the service to sin. Self-absorbed, be observing the certain you'll miss something urgent to get. At least a catch of the drip. And we journey through the pics of a litter. You weren't as thin, you're burdened to bear for the birds in the wind. Man, I gotta work on this. I gotta ride it still. It's getting too deep for me to fuck with it. Let's see what else I got here though. Yeah. Yeah, I'll try this one real quick. Yeah. Unheard of the sick, man, the word of the wicked. The world that we in is the worst of the whip. By the dern to submit, to the firmest to flip. On the first to forgive for the sins I commit. Against the worthy of this was a blessing to get, but we curse, won't repent for the dirt that we dig. Some we get dumped in from the hearse that we in. Get a lip once we turn up and nurture to him. And identities heard of, the word gets stirred when we stirring just sit earth. So stirring the shit, wind up stripping the dirt that we turning up with. At identities heard of, the word gets stirred when we stirring just sit earth. So stirring the shit up and stir. Wind up stripping the dirt that we turning up in while we turn. While the world turns us down and the earth we resist to the point of resentment for all of our kids who still go to the grave. To this day it's a cinch under pressure applied by our peers in the midst. All the wormy who grin with their wicked intent to see to it get bent. These went weak, there they went, who burnt in the to get burned on the rug, to get cut by the kick, that put Luke get on grade and determined to dent. To concern be for them who would earn them their strip, get rebirth as a beast off the leash. Now they lurk and hit licks. Not like lurch as you rank. Not like lurch as you rank. May I serve you insistent. They searching this instant for Vicks perks can pick. Then they print under thumbs of the thirsty run. Thick as teeth, they're not falls on this flirting with it. What will soon work them in. To top schedules, run skits like the dog fill prescriptions. The pharmacies fix for their pits. They turn up in unearthing the truth of details that's so dirty. The world that we in is ungodly. The gurneys on journeys to jig. Get the gist. Fresh prince at the bottomless abyss. Fresh prince of Persia, the bottomless abyss. Man of Persia, the prince of the bottomless dismal abysmal abyss. Shit, lost some baby teeth in the mosh pit as a kid. To the serpent who sin, to unearth it, the truth of discernment to sins concerning. I don't even know, I'm just learning a bit. I don't even know, I'm just learning a bit. Use discernment to sense when we burn what we get. So what of the worth and the work that we did? Is there any to find if we turn on our friends? Earth isn't ours, we are hers. She's our sis, she's our mother to miss. But to her, it's him and him. I wonder, who are they if not us? Who are they if not us? But we turn yet again on ourselves. What the hell is a hearse that we in? And it hurts just a bit when we burned in this biz. It's the worst that we in. Have we learned anything from the casket that closed? If we work in the lid, get the last of what's left of the purse we dig in. By the grace of a ghost, by the way we begin. To the gates swinging wide to receive us all sent by the source. Seem to say in their silence I lit, but they aren't our creator. Deep down you can see it. Can't blame them when it's over, said done, then that's it. Can't blame them when it's over, said done, then that's when most will realize the worth of the work that we did. Heard we get hip, learn discernment to sins. When our souls we must search for the church from within, where we worship in spirit and truth. If that's sin, not so common these days, not this time that we in. So what of the work than the work that we did? Will we turn before we burn up in the burn if we fit? Burn if we lit with the perfect, the flick and the flirting with it. What disaster is distance yourself from the stand. Population control way by media meant to what brains are not clean by the polluted by feel. The bigot men wouldn't step to. Yeah. For the purpose we serve on the earth that we live, not to drain up her sense of her worth, but to give her the honor deserving of all we can give to her. Most overlook her as if don't exist. The world am no friend of the earth, though my sister, my mother as well, when she worthy of death. At least as much, if not Lord, give my all every bit. At least as much, if not Lord, give my all every bit. Though I may not quite yet, I will learn to forgive her for what she put up with. But to her I did myself the most difficult sin to forget. For forgiveness must give to myself for this sin against her to commit. It was simple and sick and so easily done when so self-absorbed, being in a fit to pitch to clench it. When so self-absorbed, bent in a fit to clench it. And so easily done, with so self-absorbed, bent in the fit to pitch, cinches, clenching the fist, sent in the wind when it hit her. I knew what I did, but nothing, thank God, don't happen again. Shit. When I fist in the wind when it hit her, I knew what I did was enough, though thank God it won't happen again. Turf we can claim in the name of the clique. We resort to resent in the church for his chips on his shoulders like boulders. Get scolded to skit by the ministers, picked by the peers that we cursed on our kin and turn on a kid. Shit. The shoulder, the boulders get scolded and skipped by the minister, picked by the peers that give in. We curse our own kin, but turn on our kids, who in turn turn on us, who turn on them again. Then they turn on each other, their brothers and sisters. The whole solar system, they purged it must get. So what of the worth and the work that we did when we did what we did? We was just little kid. Is it too late for us to return to him? Sin will we turn for we burn in the furnace we fit to be tried for our crimes against him? We commit what we did to each other. Our brothers, our sisters, stay ducks in a row. Won't be long for we hit. Gonna hurt when we did. Just more dirt we can dig on the hearse. Once the hearse that we in to the curb getting kicked, just a perk, pick their interest, put in work for them. Those who watch from afar, birds I view such a net at the whole earth for the neck to get nervously nicked by the blade, sharp the razors, time faces to fix, just a mask many wear to disguise them my dents. All dunces in corners to sit till they get told to get up, return to their desk that they in till it fell, finally rained and they pour from the build. Some killers already dead, walking wicked, convinced of a lie won't be long for event, lead eventually to where they tickled to pick the first victim. Tickle pick their first victims. Paint tickle pick their first victims' intent just to learn worth the strips in the eyes of the blind. They threw blind through the trenches. They dug on the benches till batting them in. Though the bases of brave faith to fade with the fit for it. For to find in the eyes of no mercy for them who we killed to be noticed by those that them in. If the worst in the mix, Judas turned up to kiss and silver concern, not for how it hurt him who turned earth on her head toward the veil when he did, with the spear tip impaled on the spur as it spring. By the soldier words that would burn to the skin to our souls, so we searched for what's turned up instead. It's a courtroom adjourned, just a courtroom adjourned, jury hung till it slips, knotted rope round the throat of the thirstiest snitch. Split decision, forget a stitch, man, we burned in our strips and condemned of the world did the dirtiest did. Through the trench of the turf, we can't win if we work against ourselves. When the wormiest bench wound up on need, we won't bend. We busted the mist that we told to the kids who looked up to us liars, who used them to get what we wanted from them, who we'd send them to hit with the bullet we give them, get sent in the wind. Hear their voices that haunt us, all hop to get hit. Man, it hurts just a bit when you burn in the bridge. Just be glad you're alive, if you survived, you exist. More than can say for the player didn't win. Ain't no game, it's the same. Bang, bang, point blank, the blitz. Get spanked, the sprint. Join the gang, get the bid. From the gangsters original, thankless and thick. Run like thieves in the night, and no honor amongst them who treat kid like a rig. Working angle to prick them and get them addicted. What sends them in a fit pitch. And partner pissed, pain with the angst. Stick them up, steer, leave them laid by the wayside and whip. Run them over, cross back, crack the snap. Man, the crack of the whip. Self-defense, say it would, but is it? How did we end up with the dirt? Man, how did we end up with the dirtiest bitch? What begins hell at first with just flirting with it. The earth we be on, the world we be in. The earth we be on, but the world we be in. To the earth we belong, not our fault what we did. The earth we don't win, don't belong to these men. She belonged to Creator who made her, my sis. Won't even work, we deserve what we get. Some plead the first and while others the fifth. So will we turn for we so will we turn from it? So will we turn from our sin? Will we burn to a crib? Will we blessed and encouraged? We curses to live. Behind we get left to the wreckage to sift. As the circus is sick when we working for them. The men turn a blind eye. The men tend to turn the blind eye. The men tend to turn a blind eye for the men tend to turn a blind eye to their kids who get irked on each other. They turn taking 10. Paces then fire when turn hurt get hit down in dirt down in dirt. Now in dirt down to dig. Now in dirt down to darn dig. Learn it's now in dirt. Now in dirt, turn to dig, learn it's your turn to dig. I've been doing my share since I heard about men, but like I murdered my shit, man. Mercilessness. It did make me nervous to learn that I did. And shit, can it and earn, man. Though she is so perfectly picked by the Creator for me till I burned her with death. But I turned her on his tick, she turned on me then. Who can blame her, man? She was working for Dan. The person who saw her as a perfect pig victim. Exploiting her tendencies, yearn for the hits of the urban splits that you turn to the pick me up. Get your fit first on the murder with lead. And fed fuel to her fire, so fervent within. Got her hooked on the heroin, dirty as prick, poking at her with the words of resentment. Resistant with futile against it, she flipped, hurt herself, and went up with the shit that she did. It's a 3-ring salsa circus, no shit when you work for these men. Shit. Okay, here we go now. See, first thing firm in the earth of the jig, even if we just part with our victim to pick. So who was the victor when both wound up in dirt to dig? Hurts we end, and we looking like twin. Yeah, we both get it in when we miss it our chance. Could we irked by the system? Could we irked at the system? We birthed just a bitch. Then we turned on our friend with our burners to pit, burned to curses to live. As a crystal is learned to emerge for them. An emergency we want, an emergency when we won't learn to forgive from the dirt that we dig. When we turn it to them, our own world where we sit and we stir up the shit. To play blame on the other, our brother against him who didn't have a clue. Could we coward the kids who ain't brave enough to face it, the truth in the mirror? Hey Gaia, I'm sorry, I'm seeing you clearer. Facing my fear, pray you make an appearance. There's so much interference from the folks on the fence. It gets hard to discern which side really gonna win. So which side did you pick? Pick the one gon' win, ain't no game. Dang, I don't wanna win. All I wanted my freedom, affliction for sin, but I'm struggling to cope with my addiction again. It's getting me pissed when I can't get a fix. Man, in light of all this, I just sit reminiscing about missing your present. Pretty as chick. In my life, used to purse them, you lit, you the kid. Was it you? Was it us? Was it you? Was it me? Was it us? Was it them? It was me. You asked me who fucked up and I did. I would never blame you for what came and it went. As it did what a stranger right with it, you went when you did. I knew I would be worthy of this. When you did, I knew I would be worthy of this. It was me, you asked me who fucked up and I did. I would never blame you for what came and it went. As it did what a stranger right with it, you went. When you did, I knew I would be worthy of this. Deserving of it, I've earned what I get. Just know you enhanced my earthly existence. You made me feel love, but even if it was you made me feel loved even if it was bullshit. And I don't think it was, I'm just saying here it is. The scenario, okay, man, the worst it could get was still so much more than I deserved. Thank you, Sid, for every time. Shit, for every time you overlooked how I did you. Put you to the side for returning this unintended swords on my fault nature. Please don't forget. If ever I was just to cease to exist, listen, please don't forget what I said that I meant. Even if it really wasn't my fault, what you did wasn't yours. Don't you think for 1 second there instant for instance that you were to blame for this shit? Cause you stood firm while I fled. Cause you stood firm while I fled. Cause I fled. Why should you hop to if I wasn't hip? I know you not the type to just play it, pretend. I begged you in silence to vouch for my shit. Got mad when you wouldn't, cause I wasn't legit. It exposed me, I know that was not your intentions. It's just you're too true, you know it's just you're too true, you know I'm just a trip. Shit, it really ain't what you get in return for the worth of the work. And then what you get in return for the worth and the work that you did is what you give to the perp when you turned on your tip. Pick the victim, that's it, whether her or it's him. That's all you are to the perp, picking victim, just a victim to curb, get the kick. Call me not with the curse to live from my birth to our death, to rebirth, to repent with the worth of the work and the work that we did. Here on earth with the worst of the worst in the mix, with the worst of the words of the worldly is whipped into service, submission, subservience, sieve to the record that left once we turned on our friend, but the friend next to kin, we throw curses at them that we left with what this, it's hard work we ain't did, and we can't, it's hard work we ain't did, and we can't turn to them back, and we can't turn them back, And we can't turn it back to the spur on the spritz. Silver bullet, barrage, mirage, mold men, smoking mirrors to cloak with their clothes on the kid. It's a door to their futures, the horse and the skid, sat in rows, sitting ducks, getting fucked for the fix. Animal stuff, lots of stuff you can win if you hit them where it hurt. Get the girl, have your kid. Get your girl, get the girl, have your kid. Then the same thing occurs to them first on the lip and the perk that begins to them searching the sand in the wind. Such a prayer for protection. If hurt, it would get on your nerves how discernment can get when it's birthing an infant who turns to a kid. Who get hurt by young men on excursions as kids, just to get over on someone who's other than them. They will murder the serpents and worms in the midst. In the mix, they get turned up and burned by hip, getting shot from the point blank range. Earning their strips. It's a shame how they served and were worthless and whiz. In the wrong mind, the pastor, the person that lived. Took his babe politicians, the paper will pick for the fake publications and earth in the biz. Of the church at most in. While the children go in on these to converse with other wormy little grins and the burners they hear from their parents get lit as they stole away stuff like another two kids as they stole away. Yeah. Unheard of the sick, man, the word of the wicked. The world that we in is the worst of the whip. By the darn to submit to the firmest to flip on the first to forgive. For the sins I commit against the worthy of this was a blessing to get. But we curse, won't repent for the dirt that we dig. Some we get dumped in from the hearse that we in. Get a lip once we turn up and nurture to him. And identities heard of the word gets stirred when we stirring just sit still stirring the shit. Wind up stiff in the dirt that we turning up with. At identities heard of the word get stirred when we stirring just sit so stirring the shit up and stir. Wind up stiff in the dirt that we turning up in while we turn. While the world turns us down in the earth, we resist to the point of resentment for all of our kids who still go to the grave. To this day, it's a cinch under pressure applied by our peers in the midst. All the wormy who grin with their wicked intent to see to it get bent. Knees went weak, that they went, you burnt in the to get burned on the rug, that get cut by the kick, that put Luke get on grade and determined to dent. To concern be for them who would earn them their strip, get rebirthed as a beast off the leash. Now they lurk and hit licks. Not like lurch as you rank. Not like lurch as you rank. May I serve you insistent. They searching this instant for Vic's perks can pick, then they print under thumbs of the thirsty run. Thick as teeth, they're not falls on this flirting with it. What will soon work them in. To top schedules, run skits like the dog fill prescriptions. The pharmacies fix for their pits. They turn up in unearthing the truth of details that's so dirty. The world that we in is ungodly. The gurneys on journeys to jig. Get the gist. Fresh prince of the bottomless abyss. Fresh prince of Persia, the bottomless abyss. Man of Persia, the prince of the bottomless dismal abysmal abyss. Shit, lost some baby teeth in the mosh pit as a kid. To the serpent who sinned, to unearth it, the truth of discernment to sins concerning. I don't even know, I'm just learning a bit. I don't even know, I'm just learning a bit. Use discernment to sense when we burn what we get. So what of the worth and the work that we did? Is there any to find if we turn on our friend's earth? Isn't ours, we are hers. She's our sis, she's our mother to miss. But to her, it's him and him. I wonder, who are they if not us? Who are they if not us? Will we turn yet again on ourselves? What the hell? It's a hearse that we in, and it hurts just a bit when we burned in this biz. It's the worst that we in. Have we learned anything from the casket to close? Did we work in the lid? Get the last of what's left of the purse we dig in. By the graves of a ghost, pay the way we begin. To the gates swinging wide to receive us all sent by the source. Seem to say in their silence I lit, but they aren't our creator. Deep down you can see it. Can't blame them when it's over, said done. Then that's it. Can't blame them when it's over, said done, then that's when most will realize the worth of the work that we did. Heard we get hip, learn discernment to sense. When our souls we must search for the church from within, where we worship in spirit and truth. If that's sin, not so common these days, not this time that we in. So what of the work and the work that we did will we turn before we burn up in the burn if we fit. Burn if we lit with the perfect, the flick and the flirting with it. What disaster is distance yourself from this den. Population control way by media meant to what brains are not clean by polluted by feel. The bigot men wouldn't step to. Yeah. For the purpose we serve on the earth that we live, not to drain up her sense of her worth, but to give her the honor deserving of all we can give to her. Most overlook her as if don't exist. The world am no friend of the earth, oh my sis. If my mother is well when she worthy of death, least as much, if not Lord, give my all every bit. Least as